So I was watching a lecture on Roman roads just the other day when the chairman of that lecture said this.
You did mention fords, one of the things I'm particularly known for as far as Britain is concerned, because we simply don't have them. It would be great if someone could prove an engineered fort in Britain and prove me wrong. I did offer £10,000 to the person who could do it, and no one has, and that was 12 years ago.
£10,000?
The offer's still there, guys.
I mean, I could do with £10,000, so all I need to do is find evidence of a Roman ford in the UK, then I'm laughing all the way to the bank. This is going to be a breeze. Okay, so I live in North Hampshire. Let's be a bit lazy about this. Let's look at the Roman roads local to me. I'll look at where those Roman roads crossed any major rivers, and I'll get my wellies on. Okay, so not only am I going to have a video out of this, assuming you're actually watching this now, then also I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank. £10,000 just to find a Roman ford. Couldn't be easier. Okay, so you joined me on a Roman road today that connected Winchester back in the south of England there on up to Cirencester. Very important Roman road. We've got lots of evidence that it does exist, and we also have perpendicular to that right now here, as you'll hear, the River Test. Now, the River Test crosses here, but it does so in a very curious way because we have a very long, flat-bottomed valley. Now, that valley stretches probably half a mile, and you can see ahead of us sort of marshy land for ages. So the Romans would have had to do one of two things. Build an exceptionally long bridge, which I can't envisage, or they would have had to build a road across it, and that would have meant, at least in one place, a Roman ford. So where is it? Should be fairly easy to find. Okay, so whilst I search for a ford, because there must be one there, what exactly is a ford and why am I even bothered about this? So essentially a river crossing point shallow enough to be able to cross on foot, horse or by wheel. A ford can be completely natural, however they are often engineered to ensure safe passage. So a quick flick to historic England, who suggest that Roman paved fords were a significant component feature of a Roman road, so it seems we're looking for a paved surface. Now, the common misconception about Roman roads in general outside of towns and cities is that they were all paved. In fact, the vast majority of Roman roads, whilst very well engineered, unfortunately were not paved at all. But the fact that historic England are already suggesting that we're looking for a paved surface we see in towns, well, that's going to help us today and make it a lot easier. Okay, so perhaps isn't going to be quite as easy as I first thought. I thought I could just turn up here, kick a few stones around and I'd find a paved surface. Clearly we've got millennia of silt build-up. I probably need to dig down maybe a metre or two in hindsight, but I do feel this area really worked. So why does Mike think that they weren't in use, certainly outside of military campaigns? Back to the drawing board. Okay, so we're going to get the £10,000. Well, we need to start taking this a bit seriously. Let's do some research on the ones that we already have an idea of, ones that I could go and visit. Okay, I kind of feel this should be fairly straightforward. Just establish exactly where these Roman fords are that we already know of, make a list of them and find out if I can go and visit them. Let's start off with a spreadsheet. Okay, spreadsheet complete. This is quite interesting. So basically we've got just a small handful. We've got 2 or 3 that are probably quite accessible, but I've got a slight problem. I don't really fancy travelling to all of those. Maybe I could do the Kent one for sure, and there's a couple of others that I'd love to get to. Maybe we're going to need some help for this. Got an idea. Darren, how you doing?
Hello, Paul Whitewick.
Adam, how you doing? You good? You having a good day? You up to anything?
I'm imagining me speaking to you and Darren, and I'm just smiling.
Okay, anyway, so I've got a really good idea coming up, guys, but I need your help. I want to make a video on Roman fords. I think I'll make some great content, you know, good Roman stuff. Any chance of you guys helping me?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right, okay, Paul, so is this like homework?
I mean, sure, why not? Any chance you, Darren, speaking of that, could you go to Gargrave?
Yep, I guess so.
Adam, any chance you could nip to Barnard Castle, do the whole eye test thing? Apparently there's a really good, well-preserved Roman fort there.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, that sounds doable.
Is this got anything to do with that Roman Roads Research Association talk and, you know, the 10K challenge?
No, this is purely to do with my own curiosity.
Right, because if I recall, I'm sure there was a bet on.
I mean, look, maybe there was a video on that. Maybe there was a £10,000 offer. Nothing to do with this whatsoever. This is purely a coincidence. I just want to make a good video on some Roman fords in the country.
Just to clarify, when have we got to get this in by? When do you need this done by?
If you could get this done for me, maybe by the end of the week, that'd be magic.
Okay, Paul. Okay, yeah, understood. Fine.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sense. See you both very soon.
Bye. Ciao. Ciao. Bye.
Paul Whitewick's given me some homework. Given how many subscribers he's got, I thought I'd better do it. And alongside the A65, the River Aire ambles artfully ahead. I've stopped doing the alliteration now, I couldn't think of any more. Up there is a Grade 2 listed bridge crossing the River Aire. The other side of that, a discovery was made in 1967. And there it is, described as a very rare example of a paved Roman ford when it was discovered in the late 1960s. They found coins which dated it to the late 1st century. He doesn't want much for his money, does he? I think there's a bet riding on this, actually. I better be in for a cut. Let's go. This water is deceptively powerful. I'm not going to go any further than this, but I can get some shots of it. It's really clear, actually. The things I do for Paul Whitewick. I'd best be in for a cut of that bet if he wins. There's a Roman road over that way, which is Skipton to Settle and Ingleton. And then there's a Roman road over that way, which is Ilkley to Ribchester. I believe this has been found to align with a paved road found a long time ago up that way and a suspiciously straight road called Mark Hall Lane running off in that direction. I guess we do need to countenance that it may be from a later period. But one thing I'm sure of, what I've just perilously stood on is pretty ancient.
A very warm late spring day. I managed to cross a few county borders and end up in the land of Kent, southeast England. Now specifically I was looking for Iden Green. Frustratingly, there are 2 Iden Greens within 5 miles of each other and both have fords near them. However, ours of course is supposedly Roman, so we're going to go find it now. Now the pathway I'm just walking down here, well, we used to be able to walk down what was the pathway through here, down this absolutely beautiful holloway, and for some reason now it's all sort of blocked off. Really deep holloway down there, lots of evidence of iron workings, all sort of laid out, deposited in the form of slag. That could give us a bit of a clue to the ford that's just down into the valley. Now I'll be brutally honest, I checked the OS maps before I came here, Ordnance Survey, and I had a look at the landscape on those maps. I wasn't hugely convinced by the evidence on that basis alone. It didn't look like the most significant obstacle in the landscape. However, in the last 100 years or so, we have had 2 archaeological excavations which have tried to prove, or not prove, that this was indeed a Roman ford. So our holloway comes in from the north, and that was supposedly part of the Roman road according to Crawford and Ivan Margary, the aficionado of Roman roads. And of course we've now got a stream coming in from the northeast. That stream at the moment is completely empty, perhaps more of a winter brook. Now when they came here in the 1980s and they did some more excavations, they noted the modern access bridge just there, and they said the ford was to the south of that, immediately to the south. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so because of the excavations done in the 1980s, they did some excellent diagrams, or at least one very good diagram, and I think I found a bridge, a very sketchy looking wooden bridge just through there, and that gives us context of exactly where they were talking about. Now in the 1930s, Crawford came here, and Crawford was extremely confident that he'd found a very well paved area on the bed of the river, and subsequently he took a wonderful picture. However, that picture, well, he didn't write which direction he was facing when he took it. The problem is, when they came here in the 1980s and did that wonderful diagram I was talking about, all the paved stones, they said, were gone. by and large. And they spoke to some locals and they said, yep, sorry, the farmer nicked all those old blocks on the riverbed. However, we do have a few blocks left here. Whether they're Roman or not, I do not know. But some significant, well worked and shaped blocks all just down here at the bottom. We're very much silted up on either side here. Well, the only thing I'm thinking now is, how fast flowing is this water here? How much of a ford do you actually really need? So, do I believe there's a Roman ford there? Was there a need for a Roman ford there? Well, for the purposes of this video, yes. Yes, I do believe there was a ford there.
Surprise! It's me, Adam Morgan Ibbotson, and you meet me on a beautiful Victorian bridge overlooking the River Tees in Barnard Castle. Anybody up for getting their eyes tested? The alleged ford down there is known as Stratforth, which for anyone who knows their Roman place names means a ford over a Roman street. Apparently, the fact that one of England's largest castles over there, Barnard's Castle, is situated here on the River Tees should be an obvious indication that something very important was happening here. People have been crossing over this point for a long time. And that's because it is a perfect position between Bowes and Binchester, i.e. the Roman roads of Vinovia and Lavatre. I think it's pronounced Lavatre. It's like a posh person asking for the toilet. Either way, they had to get over this river somehow. We know that. And what they found under there is pretty Roman looking. And that's important because allegedly, between that weir and that castle, there is a surviving Roman ford, a proper masonry thing with big blocks, uniformly built, stakes, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's go down there and see what we can find. Now, it was meant to be a drought day, and allegedly you can only see it when the river is really, really low. For God's sake. Right, I'm now back at the Victorian Bridge. Mission failed, basically. There, by that weir, is the ford, allegedly, according to the documents I've read. It is made of big, blocky stones, about 30 centimetres each in length. But I hear you asking, how do we know that the ford under here is Roman? Of course, there were fords all over the place, from all over the time. And this could be any of them. We're in a medieval landscape here. Well, there are a few clues. For one, the masonry is big and blocky. It's between 15 centimetres and 30 centimetres, if you can imagine that. And it's joined by metal spurs, which people think might be what are known as opus revinctum. Secondly, the modern weir there replaced a medieval weir. When it was destroyed, the blocks of it were found to have overlain the ford, meaning that the medieval weir there obviously post-dated the ford. Thirdly, there are all the landscape clues. Over this side of the river, we have the Roman road of Vinovia that comes from Bowes. And over there, we have Binchester and its Roman road Lavatre, which sounds like a posh person needing the toilet. Put all these things together, we've got a river crossing that needs to happen between two Roman roads. We've got some Roman-looking masonry, and we have medieval things happening on top of it. In terms of the palimpsest, as it's often described, it's looking pretty promising.
So what have we got? First of all, a big thanks to Mike at the Roman Road Research Association. He's played no part in making this video, doesn't even know we're making it at this point, but that's okay because we want to thank him anyway because of the input that he gives to the Roman Road Research Association. It's invaluable because we're asking these huge questions that have been long-held assumptions for years, including this one. Were Roman fords used outside of military campaigns? And it gives us, as YouTube amateurs, the opportunity to come out and have a look at the landscape and have a poke around and ask these questions as well. It's been great fun, so go and have a look at the Roman Road Research Association. However, Mike, we are going to claim our £10,000 on the basis of we have Adam over at Barnard Castle, and although he didn't get in the water on the day, probably a little bit too deep and a bit too dangerous, we do have the archaeological substance from previous studies, and of course WC21 UK Productions Ltd over at Gargrave.
There's another one, Paul.
We're not completely convinced, but we do think that stands a very good chance at being Roman. And as for Iden Green down in Kent, well, the jury is definitely out on that one, although Crawford was himself convinced. I've been Paul. Please go and have a look at all of those three channels, the Roman Road Research Association, WC21 UK Productions Ltd, and of course Adam Morgan Ibbotson. We'll see you this time next week.